Hello, fellow agent Equestrians. This is okay. Hello, and welcome to the Aging Equestrian Weekly. I'm joined by Deanna. Hi, Deanna.
Hi.
We're here for part 2 of getting back into riding when you're old and an adult like us. And we really want you guys to learn from our mistakes. And so we wanted to detail and humorously talk about some of the pitfalls and actual falls, right?
Yes.
Like literal ones that happened that shaped who we are as riders. How many years now are you back in?
Almost 5.
Okay. Yeah. So we've had our good. Yep. I think I've been in almost 10. So we're getting back into the swing.
Yes.
And would you say it it took way longer to get back into it than it did like learning to ride as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Like so crazy strange because like you're completely different. Like everything works weird.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. What did you find was like the most challenging part about that?
So for me, I think it was I had kids and then I decided that I was going to start riding again. Actually, you helped me make that decision because I was coming to you for massages and you were talking about riding and it made me think about how much I missed having a horse and riding. But there were two major things were one, my body was totally different. And the other thing was that having had kids, I had this new, very weird fear and anxiety that I never had before. And it was really hard to get past the fear and anxiety, not just starting off, but like once silly things happened, like a spook or a fall or whatever, because having kids, it's like, it goes through my mind, like if I get hurt, what's going to happen with my kids? Is my husband going to have to take care of all 3 of us? Am I being irresponsible and frivolous riding when I could get hurt? I mean, there's just so many things. So while riding helps me mentally with being a mom and relieve stress and like it's my me time, it also at times feels really scary because of that, because I do have kids, I think. And I'm just now that my kids are a little older, I think starting to work out of that.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I didn't think about that guilt thing because that's a big guilt, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm taking up this time for myself, but I could be endangering my whole family by doing this. Like that's a big deal.
Yes. Yeah. It's a really weird like mindset. And it's something it's still occasionally when something happens, I'll be like, why am I doing this? I'm such an idiot. But at the same time, I love it. It's my passion. Like my kids see me and it makes me happier than anything else. So you have to like weigh, the risk and the benefits basically.
Yeah. Cool. I'm so glad you're there too. Like you're at that point because it is like, it's a minefield. And yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why we're both like, we talk about this all the time. So for those of you out there listening, like we're just like, it's so crazy how weird and strange it is to ride again as an adult and to think the way we're thinking now and to know how we thought then, which is really why we wanted to talk to you guys about this stuff, because we're going to give you the stuff to skip ahead. And it's up to you to believe us or not. Like, I mean, everybody, you have to experience stuff on your own to like learn it and to get over things. Like you just, people who, instructors who tried to help me, I know personally, like would tell me this, they'd be like, you will be fine. I know you don't believe me. You got to work through it, but you will be. And like, yes, you do get there. So believe us or not, but like, we really did it. And so we have some interesting things for you. So I'm going to share the screen with you today because Deanna, we're going to go through like Deanna's got more of a story about the right horses. because you have more of a record than I do. I like started riding and went into lessons for like a long time, and did get to ride some good, like right kind of horses for me, and for coming back. And I was lucky, for a while. And then I made some poor decisions that led to other stuff that happened, but also are part of the journey and part of the story, which is why I'm going to share this screen with you guys. If I can remember how the heck to do that on my iPad. Share content, photos. Okay. So for those of you who are going to try to get a horse, I mean, we're just going to start. Should I start with the horse one, Deanna, or should I start with like the rider goals and rider mindset reality check one? What do you think?
I mean, I personally think you have to start with the horse, because I don't think you can set goals until you know what horse you're going to be riding, right? Because like that would be my opinion on that. Okay.
All right. So here's our chart that we have here, and it's actually really simple, everybody. So when you're a beginner, so it's inversely proportionate, right? Inversely proportional. The more of a beginner you are, the more advanced horse you need, the more money it costs. So like, don't be tempted to get a green horse because it costs less. And even though you think you have a trainer that will help you, I mean, my recommendation is like, wait a couple of years and wait until you fall off, wait until you get scared, wait until some really bad stuff happens and you know you can get over it before you go to something more advanced. What do you think, Deanna? Tell me about it.
I totally agree. I mean, like, as the old adage goes, green on green makes black and blue. I think that's like one of the most truest things I've ever heard about riding, frankly.
Yeah. Legit personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Sadly. But we're all here talking about it. So, you know, you can get through it too. Okay, so this is just a super simple chart, you know, and my personal take on this is you need a professional to tell you what your rider ability is. Like, don't rate that one yourself. Don't think about that as like, oh, I'm intermediate because I can do a little more stuff. Nope, have a trainer evaluate you and tell you what you are for the discipline that you're adding. Yeah, and definitely
I would agree with that. I think it's like when I came back to riding, I was like, I'm not completely green, but I've also haven't ridden in a while. And so I think I overestimated my abilities based on how I was when I stopped riding. It's like you don't realize not riding. I mean, it seems so simple. Like, you're not riding all the time. Of course you're out of practice. Of course you're not going to be where you were, but it's like horseback riding, you feel like it's like, oh, it's like a bike. And it's like, I have experience. I'm not a brand new rider, you know, and this horse, it says, you know, it's for a beginner. I'm not really a beginner because I've ridden before. And I am not the most self-confident person. So you would think I would be like, actually, I am a beginner because I took, I just like, I don't even like, and I completely picked the wrong horses in the very beginning. Like, I thought I was picking up where I left off, which was like my biggest mistake, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I completely understand that, because it is, you don't know anything else, like, because riding for us horse girls was an obsession. Like, it was part of our DNA. It is part of our DNA. So you think the way you thought back then because that's the experience that you had. And so you haven't realized that, number one, which like you pointed out to me so many times, and I have it in the different chart, is that riding is different now. Yeah. Like, there's a lot more nuance and there's a lot more stuff to it, and there's a lot more study and thought. And like, I mean, it's just a whole new world. It's not just get on your pony, heels down, thumbs up, you know?
Yeah.
Not like that at all. Yeah, so let's go through. I want to share with them. So tell me about so we're going to show you pictures of Deanna's first horses. Done one. So this is a gray and oh no, sorry. I thought the gray was coming up. So this is your chestnut. Can you see that one?
Yeah. So this was my first horse, actually.
Okay. Okay.
$8 off the track thoroughbred. Totally insane. Broke my arm on this horse, actually. Got right back on. All was good. I did end up selling him to somebody on the Cornell polo team because he was a lot of horse, but that was my first horse.
Okay. Gotcha. And he was the one that would rear and was really nuts, right?
Very he was very naughty, but I did, ride with a trainer then. And I also was a lot braver then. And he, when I got him, he was skinny. He was, all of the things that make you feel bad and want to, rescue an off the track thoroughbred, I think. People have
been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah. He, I made it work with him. I did ultimately, like I said, end up selling him and I really needed a show horse at one point, and he was never going to be the show horse I wanted him to be, but he got a very good home with someone on the Cornell polo team. And Bandit. No Bandit. So anyways, that was my first horse.
Nice. Okay. All right. So then we're going to go to the gray and this one.
So this is a horse that I actually did not own, but leased for a lot of my high school riding career. And I did a lot of her. She was an awesome horse. I could show her, I could trail ride her. I did a lot of ACT classes with her, some jumping classes. She would try to kill you when you brushed her. She was
good mare, typical mare.
That I showed a lot, super high energy, but also, was manageable at shows, was a lot better than the chestnut that I had. Not pictured as a bay that I actually bought after her, that I showed for a number of years. Also was an off the track thoroughbred. He was a wonderful jumper. He ended up going, when I sold him was actually when I got out of riding for the most part. I was younger. I didn't really have the money. I wasn't going to show anymore. Anyways, so pretty much all three of the horses that I rode mainly as I was younger were off the track thoroughbreds. And I also rode at a barn where all of the horses were off the track thoroughbreds. So in addition to riding my own horses, I was exercising her horses as well. And so I pretty much only rode X-race horses. In fact, another one of the horses that I used to show literally didn't walk. All she did was jig everywhere because she was so nervous. So that was sort of my background.
Yeah. So that was what you came back knowing, that you used to ride all of this like craziness.
Yes.
So like that was what you knew, right? And like, look what I used to do and how confident that makes you feel knowing that you could do that. Yes. And back when your brain, by the way, so braver is like not the word we like can actually use, knowing now that your prefrontal cortex in your brain is not fully formed until you're like in your mid-20s. So like you have no idea of consequence. Like that doesn't register.
Feel invincible. You fall off. It's not a big deal. Like your baseline is higher than it is when you're in your it's just if you sleep wrong. So
yeah, exactly. Aging equestrians, we get out of bed and it's like a little bit of a stiff walk until you're standing straight. So we're all there with you. Yeah. Especially if you've fallen off a horse a few times. Definitely does not help. That sort of thing. Okay, so let's go to this cool chart because we've broken this down for you. So this is like what we're talking about, like this first thing with the rider mindset here. You think you should know how to ride the way you rode before, right?
Yes.
And even if your rider goals are like, even if they're super humble, like, hey, I just think I want to relearn and I want to improve, even if they're competition, whatever they are, if you think you should know how to ride the way you rode before, your reality check, like ours was, might be a little bit harsh, right?
Yeah.
And what do you end up like? Disappointed, frustrated, stalled learning, sometimes injured, right?
Yes.
Yes. So then let's share content and we're going to fast forward to Deanna coming back to riding. And you came back to riding at Foxtail Farms with me, where I was with my horse. And you did get to ride some of the ladies who were there, Nancy and Marianne. And they are, let me just tell you, they're in their 50s, or might be in their 60s now.
Yeah.
These ladies are brave ladies. Like, they train and they're really good with the groundwork. They never stopped riding. Like, they get on and they do stuff that I just wouldn't do. Like, I'm not that brave anymore. And I totally recognize that and I'm fine with it. So these horses were theirs and they're really great horses. Like, do not get me wrong. But when you're looking at ability of rider versus ability of horse and comfort level, like, there's differences. So I'm going to put Indy up first because I love Indy. He's a good boy.
Yeah. So I love Indy too. And he was who I first started riding when I got back into riding. And frankly, thank God he was, because he's very level-headed. He is a thoroughbred. He was not raced.
Right. Homebred.
He's a lovely ride. I actually got back into shape and learned so much from him. I would say he's kind of a complicated ride. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, because he is super duper smart and Marianne trained him really, really well, but it took her a long time. He was a stud for a while. So he has a different mindset, a different brain, has a stubbornness about him, but also knows that he's super talented.
Yes.
So, like,
lovely. I was able to walk, trot, canter, ride him, outside. I mean, I did a lot on him coming back, but I was only able to ride him about a year or so before she decided that she was going to retire him.
Yeah. He had bad hocks and was in some pain. And
but
I think
he was a lovely horse. It was a little challenging, I think, in the beginning when I started riding him, because he's not a straightforward.
Yeah.
Lovely. Like, he did build confidence. He was very fun to ride. He was a great horse to come back on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He is. Yeah. And he's one that if you had like been able to ride him for a few years, you would have been able to, because he could do like fancy dressage stuff. Like, he knew a lot and could offer you a lot. Yeah. 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 He was a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, Chestnut Mare. Dubby.
Here's the thing. I love Dublin. I have a special place in my heart for this horse. She's so fun. She was a blast to ride. She had the smoothest gait. She was almost like riding a couch. She was very lovely. And I honestly rode her for quite a long time without incident, actually. It was like, I would say probably like 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. She had been out of work, and then because Nancy was riding someone else and you kind of brought her back in. Yeah. Yeah. And then
for a while, but then unfortunately there was a very bad spooking incident and I fell off, and it was my first fall since I came back. And then that's when all the nerves and anxiety, I definitely didn't have any anxiety. I had underlying anxiety, but I was like riding anyways. Right. But then after I fell off, the anxiety hit me really, really bad. And I literally could not ride her after that, because every time I rode her, she would spook or something. And I know she was reacting to me. I was not calm inside, and she was smart enough that I was faking it. And so from there on out, I just couldn't ride her. I did her for like a month after I fell, and it did not work out at all. So unfortunately that riding partnership came to an end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And that's tough. Like, I think that's something that's why we recommend when you come back, like, you really need to have these experiences and know how you're going to react, because the fear it's different. It's visceral. It's like,
yes,
like your body just starts to do it, and you start to have the racing heart and the sweating and the like just shaking uncontrollably and you can't breathe, and your brain is going, what the heck? I know how to ride. Like, why am I? And your brain is doing something else entirely, but your body is like having a meltdown. You have no control. Hi, Harper.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
That's good. I saw your pictures from your horse show. You did awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm talking weird. Because
Why?
I got something put in my mouth.
I can tell. Is it right behind your teeth? Like under there? Yeah.
Okay, can you go so mom can finish?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Disrupting your tongue. That sucks. Yay. Okay, but that's, yeah. So Harper is a reason to keep going.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, and it was weird because I definitely had more positive experiences on that horse than negative, but I just couldn't override the negative, especially because oftentimes the spooks were not, there was no warning. And so in my brain, I was like, I cannot, apparently everybody in my house now is going. Anyways, and so I just could not get past falling off of her because in my brain, I was like, I can't anticipate the spooks. I didn't sit the spook. I mean, there was a ton of things, and so like I said, had to come to an end, unfortunately.
Yeah. Very understandable. And like your teenage horsey brain does not understand it.
Right.
And you get really, I mean, I got really mad at myself.
Yes.
Yeah. And like really upset and wondered if I could even do this, if I could even ride. And I know you hit a wall like that too.
Yes. After
and the literal, we'll pull him up now. So this guy, Spirit.
So Spirit was a beautiful horse. And here's the thing. I thought with this horse, I was doing the right thing. He was advertised as a beginner level horse. He was a thoroughbred. However, he had not been raced. But he was 7. So that should have been my main, I think, cue. However, I did adopt him knowing that I could return him if it didn't work out. So I had done my homework. But unfortunately, he did not settle at the farm. He came and he just never settled. And then when he started to settle, he got very herd bound. He was very hard to handle on the ground. He was terrified of the electric fence. And then one day I got on, and there was a very unfortunate bucking incident, and I did end up with a concussion.
Yes.
Hard, like I did actually black out, and I had to go to the hospital. And as soon as I got there, they put me in at like a neck brace thing. And I ended up being in the emergency room during COVID for like 8 hours while my kids were at home and my husband was at home. And I have never in my life felt more stupid, more irresponsible, more guilty, and just the whole thing was terrible. Even one of the doctors said something about like, well, were you wearing a helmet? And I was like, of course I was wearing a helmet, although I now have a better helmet. A much more expensive helmet.
Yeah.
And even the doctor, to a certain extent, made me just feel like an idiot. And I like on that day was like, this horse is going back and I'm done riding. Like, I'm like, this just is not, I don't know why this. And I was like, and then I did end up returning the horse. And that ended my time at the barn that we were at together, which was also sad. So the whole thing really downward spiraled into a very bad experience.
Yeah. I remember getting that text from you at the hospital with a picture of you with the neck brace.
I tried to find the picture for entertainment purposes. I did it because that's literally how embarrassing I found that experience. I wanted to find it and be like, hey, here it is.
Your memories from this day. Aren't you glad?
Do not let this happen to you. But I must have done that because I was hated. So
and that's the worst. Like, it's not like I think that is probably the hardest thing to get over, is that when you feel, even though, I mean, I look at the situation and I don't think you should feel any sort of humiliation or guilt, but like, it's not that simple. Like, it's really not.
Weird when you're an adult and you feel like you should know better or something, and you're like, I have a job, and like, so I wasn't supposed to stare at a screen for more than 30 minutes a day for like a month, and it's like, I can't really tell my boss like, hey, I have to take a month off because I fell off my horse and hit my head hard. It's like, I mean, the whole thing, it was just like, it was just bad. I mean, the whole thing was just bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, that is unfortunately something that can happen. And I mean, it can happen with any, like, let's just be honest, like, horses are horses. You can have the most, whatever, you can be the best rider. We've all seen professionals hit the ground hard and break stuff and have brain injuries and whatever. Like, it's not, this is a dangerous sport that we're in. So that's why these are our opinions. This is our experience. Please, you know,
not horse either at all. Like, completely not horse. It's just what happened.
Yeah, it's just what happened. And I mean, part of it is like, that's the mix. We're providing a bunch of chemicals with horses and people, like, and sometimes this whole situation that they're living in, like, it doesn't jive, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, and they can sense emotions, I think, the way we can smell flowers, you know, like, it's a potent thing. And yeah, it's not anybody's fault, really. I mean, we can say it's ours because, yes, we essentially sign on the line and we're like, yep, we're doing this, you know, we sign those waiver forms, you know, so like, we can feel that kind of guilt, and we can feel like we have to do it right. But, you know, we're doing dangerous things as carefully as we can. It's just that when you come back to riding and you think that you can do things that you actually haven't proven that you can do yet, it becomes a little more dangerous.
Yeah,
for sure. But now Deanna has found her soulmate.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I've always heard people say the right horse will find you, and this literally is what happened with Max. I had made the decision to just give up riding altogether, but I had also gotten my daughter into riding, and she was taking lessons, and she still wanted to ride. So when the relationship at the last barn ended, I contacted a new barn and said, hey, you know, my daughter wants to ride. Do you give lessons? She was like, you know, yeah, I think there's a horse, you know, that might work. Come visit the farm. And, you know, she asked if I rode, and I said, well, and I, you know, told her the whole story, and she was like, well, if you're interested in leasing a horse, there's a horse that you should take a look at that you could lease. So I visit the farm. Christy actually came with me.
I did. Yep.
And this horse he was 18 at the time. So obviously a big age difference there, different maturity. When I first met him, he's a Polish Arab, and I had never ridden an Arab. In fact, I think I've said in my past, don't tell Max, that, you know, I don't like Arabs. I don't like the look, you know, whatever. Anyways, long story short, this girl owned him. She didn't really have time to ride him. He really needed a person. She was like, you know, you should just try him out. So I did end up trying Max out, and he frankly was also a very nervous horse when I first started with him, but I decided to just groom him, to just hang out with him for a while and just see, you know, if we clicked. So I would say probably like the second week in, people at that barn started commenting how calm he was when he was with me. And he was really enjoying being groomed, really enjoying going on hand walks. And so I did a bunch of groundwork with him. This was at that time that you had also told me about, who was it? Is it Elaine Henny?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I decided to literally just walk him like a dog everywhere. And I did for like 2 months. And so we really, I think, got, created a bond. And then when I did start riding him, it wasn't without trial or incident. I mean, he in the beginning wouldn't stand when I mounted. So we had to work on him standing at the mounting block for like 2 months before I got on him. But although he can be very nervous, he somehow buys my fake, calm, cool exterior. Upset. Somehow he's like, he believes my fake it till you make it. And so it somehow it works. And now that I've been riding him for like 2 years, I ride him bitless. I pretty much ride bareback more than anything else because he doesn't really like a saddle. He can be very girthy and he's actually very hard to fit in a saddle. He does have his own special saddle, but he just tends to be more relaxed and comfortable when I ride him. I use a bareback pad, a special bareback pad, but now I'm able to ride him, trail ride him, bitless, bareback all over the property where we board, knock on wood, without incident. And it's very not stressful and very relaxing and fun, and I'm having a blast. So he is, I'm just going to move outside really quick because they're coming back. My kids are coming back.
You're running away from
the high. So I now able to ride him all over, and I feel safe. I rarely feel nervous with him. He is very, if I say, whoa, he knows I mean stop. So he'll spook, but I'll, say whoa and he'll stop. So it's like that. I have a level of comfort with him that I haven't been able to have. And I don't think any horse I've ridden ever, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. So now you feel like confident and somebody believes in you. Like I think the thing is sometimes is that trust of like, I know that you mean like, you're not going to hurt me. We're not going to do anything out of my comfort zone.
Yes. The other thing that I find interesting, and I don't know if it's just, he's a very intelligent horse, and everybody probably says it about their horse, but I will say that I think he has a level of trainability that I haven't experienced with a horse in a long time. In other words, we speak the same language. I am able to teach him things. He understands, he gets them. Not all horses click with you like that. Like there are some horses that I could try to teach something, 20, 30 times, and they're just not getting it. And we're both getting frustrated. With him, there seems to be an ease in teaching and training that we've been very successful.
Yeah. 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 They followed you.
Oh, it's impossible to escape. Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, yeah, you found, and the cool thing is like, you are now doing something so different from what you thought you were going to do.
Yes.
Like the farthest, not the farthest, but very far away from hunter jumper, being in a discipline where you have to practice all the time. Like you're doing exactly what you want. You're just trying stuff out. You trail ride, you hang out, and you're happier than you've ever been with a horse.
Yeah. It's so relaxed and so fun. It's low pressure. It's low stress. It's like super enjoyable. It is a true stress reliever. It doesn't cause me more stress.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would ever, and Max is also the smallest horse I've ever ridden, which is very strange, but I've come to appreciate as I'm older that when the ground isn't as far away, it doesn't feel like your feet are going to shatter when you get off. So it's, it works. So
the cold. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do it. And if you'd ever told me I would be riding an Arab, and, the other thing about him is I think because of his age, he doesn't need to be ridden every day. In fact, he appreciates not being ridden every day. On the days when we just go for walks or do other stuff, he is delighted. He's fine with riding too, but with my schedule, I also can't ride as much as I would like to ride. But it's okay with him because if I get on him, if I haven't been on him in 3 days, I get on him, he's still the same horse, unless it's windy, but excluding wind, we're pretty much good to go. So yeah, which is awesome. And that should give everybody hope that
your path is not always like the way that you want to so desperately make it. Like, we're not kids anymore. We don't have to be one way. Like, you may find that you enjoy something completely different than what you originally thought that you would enjoy about horses. And you can have any kind of relationship with them. Like, I think that's the cool thing about them, is that like you can just have companion animals and literally, like, you could do Reiki on them. That could be your thing. You know, you can have such an enriching time with horses that doesn't involve competitive riding or even riding at all.
Yeah, agreed. And I did a lot of showing when I was younger, and so I'm completely fine. In fact, when I took Harper to that show recently, I was like, wow, this is really tiring and stressful. And like, do not miss this at all. Like, I'm happy for you and I'm glad you had fun, and but it's like, I'm fine not doing that anymore.
Yeah. And you weren't even in it. You were just there doing all the work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is cool. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate them. And so let's just look real quick at this chart. So this is like, these are our opinions. You know, if you were a rider who was coming back wanting to do these things, honestly, you could be whatever you want, and that's fine. You could be something else in between these, but like, the rider mindset is super duper important. And I think you need to ride for a while to figure out what your goals really are and what your mindset actually needs to be. And I think that's different for everybody. I don't know there's not like a formula for when that'll happen for you. But if you are not aligned with the goals and the mindset and reality, the result sucks. Like, it's not cool. Like, you're disappointed, you're embarrassed, you feel guilty, you're hurt, you're out a hell of a lot of money. Let's just be real about that. This is not a cheap, frivolous, dollar store kind of thing that we're doing here. We're putting a lot of money, a lot of time. And I mean, this is another being's life that we're talking about when we're talking about horses. So this is a big deal. So when you're coming back, just keep in mind that it's a good idea to really kind of keep fluidity in your goals and try to have a mindset that's, I don't know, what would you say, Deanna? Like, a little more open to being.
Yeah, I think open-minded. Like I said, when I first saw Max, frankly, he was out of shape. He was like covered in mud. He was an air. He was small. there were
all these points against him.
There were all these things, and now I feel so guilty for even thinking those things. I just find it like so ironic and hilarious, but it's like, I could tell almost from the first time I brushed him, I was like, oh, this horse is like, I could tell, you know what I mean? It was like a weird, and then by the second week, I was like, okay, so I'm going to just see how this goes. And I was so nervous because of what had happened to me with the last like several horses, and I was really just there just so the Harper could keep riding. And but now Max is like, he's such a part of our family. Like, he loves my kids. He like starts screaming the second he sees my car when I show up at the barn. Like, he's like, he is the epitome of like the sweetest, most wonderful horse you could ever ask for. And so it's like, I never in a million years would have guessed that he would have ended up being mine, and that he would be so awesome to ride, and that we would have so much fun together. I mean, I can also put Harper on him. I mean, not, completely by herself, but she is able to ride them. And so he's a great family horse, which is something it makes complete sense because I have kids, but I never was like, oh, I want to like, have a horse that my kids could get on and I can lead him around. He can do that too. And so it's like really nice that he really is like a family horse, which is really kind of perfect. I wasn't even looking for that.
Right. You didn't realize you needed it.
Right. Exactly.
Which is cool. I like when fate ends up bringing you there. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a gentle way sometimes, and sometimes not a gentle way. So
yes.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up because Deanna has a life full of children and I only have cats and dogs, and right now they're all sleeping blessedly. Oh, Holden, did I hear you fall down the stairs?
Are you
Did
okay?
fall down the stairs? Are you okay? No, you're not okay. Okay, cool. Well, any parting words? Harper, do you have any advice for old people who want to ride again?
No.
How about, yeah, tell me.
On and control the horse good.
Wear
There
a
you go.
helmet.
Yep.
Get the horse bone.
There is.
Don't
What
wear
do
a
you-
western hat. Don't wear a western hat. Wear a helmet.
Wear a helmet. That's very good advice. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. Yep.
All right. Can you guys say goodnight?
Good night. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.